So I said yesterday that not enough people are talking about Kentucky's backcourt, and it's true, but we're not really thoroughly appreciating just exactly who we have at shooting guard because he is a luxury talent.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to be talking about why Oweh is a luxury talent, because there's an analyst out there that believes that he's among the nation's best when it comes to just having a comfortable player that you know is going to be able to go out there and get everything done for you. Also on today's episode, could a rival in the SEC take a step back after a head coach received a contract extension? They could. We'll talk about it on today's show. And then to wrap things up, we're going to give you a preview of Toledo versus Kentucky, the season opener for the Cats. I think Kentucky's going to blow Toledo out of the water despite what bettors are saying. Everyone's going for the upset. No, I think Kentucky's going to dominate this football game from start to finish. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. And if you're watching on YouTube, would love it if you joined up, subscribe to the show, trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody who has already joined. And if you're listening on podcast, I would really appreciate it if you joined up there as well. Otega Oweh is a luxury talent in college basketball, and I'm really tired of the national media putting people over him. They need to give him more respect. They need to give him his flowers. I've seen way too many people, both in my personal life and surrounding social media, kind of questioning what Otega Oweh is as a player, whether or not he's good enough to be a lead guard for the Wildcats again after acquiring so much talent, if he's going to continue to be moderately to incredibly efficient in certain games, if he has that clutch factor that can hold over multiple seasons. There have been all these questions about whether Otega Oweh is good enough, right? There is an analyst out there who has been doing this for a long time, so I think he knows what he's talking about, that has tabbed Otega Oweh as a luxury talent for the Kentucky Wildcats, one of the best in college basketball. Dickie V released his preseason Rolls-Royce all-first team. Guys who are one of a kind that can make you stand up and say, "Are you serious, baby?" That's what he wrote in his article breaking down his preseason all Rolls-Royce first and second teams. Kentucky's Otega Oweh makes the second team there alongside Trey Kaufman-Renn, Donovan Dent, Emmanuel Sharp, Nick Martinelli from Northwestern. The first team here, PJ Haggerty, Braden Smith, JT Toppin, Graham Ike, and Bennett Sturts. All of these guys, luxury cars in college basketball. They give you high quality, they give you performance, and they give you flashiness at times. And Otega brings all of that to the table. We're not talking about Otega Oweh as a luxury top tier, one of the 10 best players in all of college hoops. I thoroughly believe that he is that this season. I'll give you two reasons why here real quick. Number one, Otega Oweh, I think, is going to win SEC Player of the Year. Any SEC Player of the Year should never, and I mean never, be left out of the conversation when discussing the best players in all of college hoops, if not the best. Now, I understand we've got some really good players in this league, some of which are kind of going to have to grow into a bigger role after stars left last season, some of which are running it back and are going to be big-time mainstays for some huge programs. Some of them are transfer portal additions for teams like Florida, Auburn, Alabama, and then they're expected to compete for such a title, right? Otega, I think, has the most, out of everybody in this league, has the most surefire game that will translate to a second season of greatness. You don't just stumble upon 16-plus points per game on good efficiency in one of, if not the best league in America. That just does not happen. He's going to do it again. He's going to win SEC Player of the Year, and therefore, I think that he is going to win SEC Player of the Year. Second reason that he is one of the best players going to be one of the best players in all of college basketball, if not the best. Look at what's surrounding him. Look at the talent and the coaching staff that is going to be put around Otega Oweh. Everyone's going to be watching this season. Kentucky is still the biggest brand in all of college hoops. They are still the biggest name in all of college basketball across America. Everyone's going to be watching Otega Oweh, and he is going to thrive in the situation that he's in. We've discussed Mark Pope and what he's done in the transfer portal this offseason, trying to get more downhill, aggressive, get to the rim type guys. It's going to open things up for Kentucky, but also I think having better ball handlers and having better guys that can slice through, get to the rim with physicality, it's going to provide more opportunities for Oweh to do that at probably a higher efficiency level because there's going to be so much attention drawn to other guys off ball. Otega is going to succeed because of his situation. He's going to succeed because of the conference that he plays in. He's going to succeed because of all the eyes that are on him. And I'll give you a third reason that I just realized here as we're kind of wrapping this up. Otega certainly plays like a Rolls Royce. The slasher, bruiser, smoothly into the lane and finish with contact to give you that extra quality, give you that engine muscle, you might say. Oweh certainly plays like a high-end luxury car. He is a talent. He is to be appreciated across college basketball. People need to give him flowers and give him the respect that he's earned. He's going to be one of the best, if not the best player in all of college basketball this season. Shout out Dickie V for recognizing that. All right, we've got a rival here in this conference that might end up taking a step back this season, and I want to compare this situation to something that Kentucky fans are very familiar with, and this is important. This is important for Kentucky fans to acknowledge what's going on with another program and to see what could be down the road, because at the end of the day, I think it's beneficial for UK, and then also there are going to be a lot of you that are just simply hating on this team because they exist. Before we dive into that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. College football is back, and I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. It's endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, right? The app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay, right? So I've pulled up Game Time in just a couple of taps. I saw amazing deals. In fact, this is not a bit. I am being so serious right now. Just a week or so ago, I went and I bought tickets. I'm a huge college football fan, period. I like traveling, going to see different teams. I literally bought tickets to a huge SEC matchup in November because I got to Game Time and I was scrolling through and I saw an incredible deal I literally could not pass up. I'm talking about your favorite college football teams here for games as low as $25, guys. It is a must deal here with Game Time. You can take all of the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, continuing along here on the Friday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Gentlemen, God bless our troops. God bless America. Start your engines. College football is back tomorrow. We're going to get to Kentucky Toledo in a little bit. We're going to be breaking that game down. Kicks off at 12:45 Eastern, I believe, 11:45 God's time. But before we get to that, I have to address this. There is a rival in this conference that might be taking a major step back, not just this season, but for the foreseeable future. We have to be aware of this. As Kentucky fans, we have to be aware of this. If you did not see it, Tennessee Volunteers head coach Rick Barnes just received a lifetime contract extension. Not just a couple of years, a lifetime contract extension. I'm not telling you that it's going to happen. I'm telling you to be aware in case it does. And I would say that there's a pretty good chance that it does. I think Tennessee is going to be taking a step back. Now, it might not happen immediately. They've got a really good team this year. Nate Ament, obviously a player that Kentucky really wanted. They went and got him. They got a good recruiting class. Not so much in the portal, but still, this is a top-tier roster in college basketball. maybe not on the level of Kentucky's and Houston's and Florida's and BYU's and Duke's and et cetera, but it's still a really good team. There are going to be, I think, future years here where there's a good chance that things start to kind of wind down for Rick Barnes in Tennessee, and they have to go make another hire. Why? I think we've seen this already in the SEC. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I think that there is going to be a good chance. Let me be clear here. I'm not telling you it's going to happen. I'm saying there's a very good chance that it does, that there is some sort of complacency. And maybe that's not necessarily the right word, but something is going to happen where you get that lifetime contract and it starts to take some of the pressure on you. You ever like had to be at a wedding or some sort of formal or professional event and you had to wear a suit that you didn't really like and it's kind of uncomfortable, but you get there, it's all flashy, you look great, and then you finally get to go home, you start taking the jacket off, you start to be more yourself, you have to start to be less formal, less professional. It's kind of like that, right? You get that lifetime contract, you get that security, kind of start to take that jacket off. You don't really care as much anymore. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not trying to go out there and secure something for yourself or your family long term. Barnes has already done that. He's already proven what he is in college basketball. One of the greatest coaches in this league, one of the greatest coaches at Texas. He is a very, very solid coach, and he will be remembered for a long time. That being said, he's 71 years old. Things are going to start to wind down here. He's not going to be hitting as hard, I think. My guess, it's not, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think there's a very good chance that it does, where he is going to kind of settle in a little bit here as his career starts to wind down, which I'm assuming it is at 71 years old. Even a slight dip, and I mean just a slight dip, can be the difference for Tennessee in a Sweet 16 year, which goodness knows they're not going to make the Final Four. Sorry. A Sweet 16 year, or getting bounced in the first round, scraping by to get into the NCAA tournament. I'll give you two examples of complacency in college basketball here. John Calipari and Jim Boeheim. You already know what happened after John Calipari received his lifetime contract, quote unquote, lifetime contract extension with UK. All of that money, right? The Cats Pause 24/7 actually put out a really good tweet about this whenever Barnes got his contract extension yesterday. John Calipari, before his lifetime contract, 309 and 71. That's an 81.3% winning percentage. John Calipari, after his lifetime contract, 101 and 51, 66.4% winning percentage. They struggled. There's no other way to put this. Kentucky struggled, and they definitely struggled where fans wanted them to succeed the most in the tournament after John Calipari got the security that he wanted and needed. And frankly, at that point, had deserved. I'm not trying to make an excuse for Cal and saying the final 5 seasons of his career, 5-6 seasons of his career at Kentucky, they are acceptable or okay, or fans should be pleased with 9-16 in 2020-21, one of the worst records in Kentucky basketball history. People shouldn't be pleased with Kentucky getting bounced twice in the first round by St. Peter's and Oakland. You should not be okay with that. But what I am telling you is that once he did get that security, it was earned. It was earned in my mind. He had already won a title. He had brought the swagger back to Kentucky after losing it there for a few seasons. Jim Boeheim at Syracuse never really got that lifetime contract, right? But he had control over that Syracuse program, unlike almost any other program in college basketball. And as things got into the twilight years, Syracuse faded. And they faded towards the end pretty quick, and they're still trying to recover from that. They still are. Tennessee needs to be aware of this. We need to be aware of this as Kentucky fans, because if Tennessee goes out of the picture for 2 or 3 seasons, that only helps Kentucky. It only helps them, first of all, for some of you in the win-loss column, whenever we go and face them, that's going to continue to be a trend. But more importantly, it's more so, I think, helping Kentucky kind of push themselves back to the top of this conference whenever other teams are taking a step back. And I don't necessarily know if that's the best way to look at it. I'm sure that somebody can criticize saying, well, it's not necessarily Kentucky getting better. It's the rest of the league, quote unquote, getting worse. Which, yes, but also the SEC hasn't always been this dominant. Will it continue to be? Things like this, I think, could absolutely change the course of the strength of this conference as a whole, looking down the road 5 years, 10 years from now. Syracuse, like I mentioned, is still feeling the effects of this. Kentucky, I think, is in a very, very good spot after John Calipari kind of left some complacency. The word I was using towards the end of the tenure was apathetic. I just felt like the fan base didn't really care as much about what was going on, because it's like, well, if you're not going to win where it matters, why should we? Here we are now with Barnes. Does a lifetime contract extension kind of put some more emphasis on maybe some frustrations with the current landscape of college basketball? There's been reports talking about that, how maybe it's not all sunshine and roses. And I'm sure it's not for a lot of Division I coaches who are trying to keep this thing afloat with the NIL, and the transfer portal being a thing now. Having the security you need as your career winding down, does it make it even more so difficult to kind of like keep a roster together, because every other day you're like, what am I fighting for? Or are you going to mail it in? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that there's possibility here. And the reason that we know that there's possibility here is because it's happened twice with two major Hall of Fame coaches who have had this happen to their programs recently, one of which is still coaching. Does Barnes mail it in? Does Tennessee start to take a step back? I think there's a good chance that we may see that. And when we do, Kentucky's only going to take a step forward. I think that's a fair thing to say. This is not anything groundbreaking, but I'm sure a lot of you, especially Tennessee fans, might not like to hear it. Something's going to happen in the next half decade. You need to be prepared for it. Yeah. So we're going to continue along here. Kentucky versus Toledo. Fun game for Kentucky tomorrow, because I think they're going to blow the Rockets out of the water. Vegas doesn't think so. I'll explain why I do here in a little bit. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Upside. Kentucky fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Well, you need to stop leaving money behind. You can get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. You can use my limited promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can actually make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already need. It's a pretty safe bet. It makes a ton of sense to me. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, guys. And you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card, or Amazon and other brands. You don't need to let this offer drive by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time, 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. You can go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, wrapping up the Friday edition of Locked On Kentucky, I want to point out here something that you guys may have already noticed. You're like, Lance, you're in the studio, but you look like you're about 2.5 feet shorter than what you normally are, because the angle that you're sitting at here at your desk, what's going on? And to that I say, my camera is dead. And I need to record right now. So we're going to be doing it here on a different camera here. Apologies that we could not get a more upright shot, but yet here we are. I think it looks fine. You guys love the studio. I know you do. Kentucky, a lot of people are doubting Kentucky tomorrow against the Toledo Rockets. The betting line for this game got all the way down to about 7.5. I think it's back up to like 10.5 now. This has been the upset pick, trendy upset pick of week one. Everyone in, as Josh Pate likes to say, in the upset cigar lounge, right? UCL, is kind of talking about, you picking Kentucky? Are you picking Toledo over Kentucky? You picking Toledo over Kentucky? Yeah, it's 7.5 now. There's not a lot of juice around that Kentucky program. They're not going to be very good. Take this Toledo team who beat Mississippi State last year. No. Kentucky's going to blow the Rockets out. I'll give you 3 good reasons why Kentucky's going to blow the Toledo Rockets out. First and foremost, Kentucky's just a more physical, athletic team. Since I've been doing this show, I have hearkened back to this simple point for both football and basketball. When you face off against a group of 5 school or a mid-major school, 9 times out of 10, you're going to, at every single position, be stronger, faster, more athletic across the board. Kentucky's going to control the line of scrimmage in this game. That's where things are going to start and I'll give you some more nuance here in a second, but that's where things start and end. They will control the line of scrimmage. Toledo, solid. last season across the front seven, but they're losing pieces. Wildcats, I think with their revamped Big Blue Wall, are going to dominate on both sides of the ball. And that's going to be the reason why they win the game here. But second point here, not only is Kentucky going to be more physical, Kentucky's defense is just better. They're just so much better than what Toledo's going to trot out there offensively. Toledo last season was 77th in offensive SP, or they're projected, this offseason to be 77th in offensive SP+. Kentucky is projected to be 31st in defensive SP+. And mind you, Brad White's still here. You might have forgotten about it. Defensive coordinator Brad White's been here since 2019, 7th season, right? Experience, continuity, SP+. The analytics are saying that Kentucky's going to be good. I think Kentucky's defense is better than anything that Toledo can do out there on offense, and it's only going to get worse once the game actually starts. Toledo last year struggled to run the ball. They ranked 110th in the FBS in rushing yards per game, only averaged 3.4 yards per carry. That's weak. That's really weak. So you may say, oh, well, maybe they'll do what other MAC teams have done in the past on Kentucky, kind of dink and dunk their way on first and second down and not really do anything on drives, but at least they move the ball a little bit. Kentucky last year was 21st nationally in passing yards allowed per game. Tucker Gleason, Toledo's quarterback, is going to struggle in this contest because he's going to be put in tough spots on third down where it's going to be a lot longer yardage than maybe Toledo would like. And last year, the Rockets were 112th in third down conversion rate. That's not going to get any better against an SEC opponent in week one with a defensive coordinator worth of salt and Brad White. This is not going to be a good situation for Toledo's offense. I know a lot of people want to make jokes about, oh, Zach Calzada, they don't have any receivers, they suck. Doesn't matter. Kentucky could drop 28 points in this game max, and they're going to win this game by at least 3 touchdowns. They're going to choke the life out of Toledo on offense. They are going to destroy them within a significantly better defense and much more athleticism than anything Toledo could possibly muster. And then finally, wrap up the point here, third point, Kentucky's going to be playing at home. Kentucky's 34-9-1 all-time versus the MAC. But they've got a 7-game winning streak going right now against MAC opponents all the way back to 2004. Toledo's 2024 season was marked by inconsistency. They had really impressive wins against Mississippi State and some other MAC teams, but they also had some baffling losses against some significantly weaker opponents. Fun stat for you. They were a perfect 8-0 when they scored more than 21 points, but they went 0-5 when they scored less. Their offense stalls. They have a difficult time winning. Like I mentioned, Kentucky's defense isn't going to let them move the ball up and down the field. They're going to struggle to score. Even if Kentucky's offense is not all sunshine and roses, and it's like it's dropping 45, 50 points like a 2014 Big 12 offense, who cares? This is going to be a disgusting game for Toledo where Kentucky's going to grind them into a paste on Kroger Field. This is not upset alert. This is not panic time for Kentucky. It may happen next week. It may happen when you get into SEC play. But as of tomorrow against the Toledo Rockets, they're not going to be able to score. Kentucky's going to be able to do enough. That defense is going to smother them. Kentucky's had success in the past. They're going to do it again this year. So that's why. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hey, you can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at Lance Dawe_. Follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And of course, God bless. Let's get it. Week 1 tomorrow. That's a fun slate. Hope you guys enjoy.